Ladies and gentlemen, the show is about to begin. The Irish Spaghetti Podcast. Like and subscribe. Please enjoy the show.
Born for greatness, but separated by birth, they have found each other once more. They will hunt, tracking game like a Cherokee Indian. No girls allowed. A complete rebuke of the feminine man paradigm. With great penis comes great responsibility. Look out, world. Real men are back. Total badasses. There will be guns. There will be violence. Step aside, John Wick. On December 7th, get ready for Irish Spaghetti. Eat shit and die.
Yes, yes. Oh wait, I'm screaming.
I'm gonna rip your head off and shit down your neck.
Am I fucking this up?
No. I can cut anything, dude. This is all gonna be gold.
You could cancel me out in the background anyway, right? Okay.
This is fucking hilarious, man. Oh my god.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Irish Spaghetti Podcast. We're your hosts, Billy G, Nikki P. Nick, how are you?
I am very well. I'm much better now that we're back.
Yeah, dude. Wow, we are back. You know what? Just a big thank you to everybody who's been staying with us this long. I know we took a break there, but why did we take a break there?
Guys, we had 2 weeks where we had to start going back to work and start processing. So we had to do our mock service and kind of show over some works. Our job, our restaurants have been closed this entire time, which is why we've had so much time to build the show and everything. But they're starting the rehiring process. So that happened. And then I got sick. I did a couple of episodes sick, but then you had some stuff to deal with your sister.
Yeah.
And then honestly, we set up to shoot a couple of times and we had tech issues. Like the computer wasn't working. Our hardware, like we've talked about before, is kind of shitty. So we had a couple of issues we ran into. So we're sorry that it took so long for us to get back. We're always going to be in the game. This is never going to stop. And we're back shooting again. So
do you know what's funny is as much as I bring Ginger up, my sister, well, I know I'm saying my sister. I know you know, but people probably think she's retarded. I take care of her.
She's simple, Jack.
Dude,
she's not a cripple.
As much as I bring her up, man, you know what I mean. But it was just she had a baby, and it was
she had a nightmare pregnancy.
Yeah,
we talked about it on one of the other episodes.
In a nutshell, exactly. It was just a nightmare pregnancy. Fucking one thing after the other. That's just how it went down. Beautiful baby boy though. Sonny's born, just such a good kid, healthy kid.
For all the pain that she endured, the baby's healthy, and that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, we compared it to a crash, like landing on Mars. Like the shuttle's all destroyed. Ginger being the shuttle was all destroyed and stuff, and then this pristine human walks out, It's
like when you see that car accident where the car flips over like 37 times and it's like he walked away without a scratch.
Yeah, isn't that a
It
trip?
makes no sense at all.
You know what's funny is I went to pick up one night and dude, I mean like really, really calm too. Me and Ginger, we were both working at the Strip at this point, and she calls me up and she's like, hey, are you on the Strip right now? And I was like, getting off. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, will you do me a favor? She's like, where Little Darlings is we're on the freeway. She's like, will you come pick me up? She's like, my car's not working. And I said, yeah. I said, no problem. So I drove and I see, I like coming on like the other way and I see a bunch of lights. So I get off on that Charleston exit. I cut around and I get back on, and she's in the back of the squad car, and her car literally, I'm not even, it was a Sebring. It was like at the time, so many years ago, it's like a 2008 Sebring. And it was like tomato can, like crinkled up. I'm talking about like, there was no lights on it, no backlights. The doors were all rolled and stuff like that. The top of the car was all messed up. So the car did roll and stuff like that.
Right.
And then she's in the back of a squad car. And I walk up to the cop and I knew she was giving, because Ginger's a problem. I told you how she is. You know?
Right.
So
Billy has told me on more than one occasion, he goes, if my sister was a man, she'd be in prison.
There's not even a question.
For the rest of her life.
Yeah. As many altercations that she's been in, and as down as she is, like for a girl, I don't know any girls that are as down as that. Not anymore. She's getting older and she's getting better, but especially when she was a kid, it was terrible.
That reminds me, did you ever tell the grocery store story? Did we ever do that? We promised that we would tell that on the next episode, like some episodes back. I don't remember if we actually talked about it or not.
All right. So,
but to give you an idea of what she's like.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Here we take the produce bags. We grab a bunch of produce bags because we like putting, like leftovers and stuff. We just use them. And I know, listen, man, everybody has a shitty thing that they do. I get it. I completely understand that you're not supposed to take the whole roll or whatever, but it got to the point where we were
and that they cost like 75 cents for the entire thing anyways.
So one night we definitely needed them. It was like in our minds that we needed more bags. So we go to Albertsons and I grab the roll, and listen, man, I'm telling you, I paid for all my groceries. I'm not a thief. We could argue semantics all day because technically those things are free. If I bagged a bunch of bananas, 40, 50 times, I could probably get away with that. So listen, but whatever, who cares?
But you don't get to say that you're not a thief because you paid for some of the other items.
No, but I paid.
Like if I fill my shopping cart up and I pay for 90% of it and steal the other 10%, I'm still a fucking thief.
No, but here's the thing.
You still stole.
Here's the thing. Everything with a price tag, I paid for. The only thing
that's an interesting loophole of logic.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Dude,
I appreciate this.
Listen, I completely understand that I
love ghetto logic.
On a moral standpoint, on an ethical standpoint, yes, 100% I am wrong. But if you're talking about just not figuratively, like just write exactly what it is, those bags are free to take.
Right.
But if you grab them in the bunch like how we did in the roll, they're not free to take. And I know, and so that's where not that there was any confusion, but that's where we tried to argue. But anyways, so I walk up and like we said, the nightmare pregnancy was going on. So she was in a walker at this point. So when you're on a walker all day, your hands aren't going to be like as swift as they should be. So I walk up and I said, listen, just when I go to U-Scan, I'm going to put the bags in with the Roma tomatoes, weigh them all at once. We'll wind up paying like $1 or $2 for them, for that extra weight. And I don't know what I did. I to this day, I don't know why it was a problem. She looks at me as if I'm like out of line. She goes, no. She goes, I'll take care of it.
Like she had a chip on her shoulder.
Yeah, like she needed to tell, no, don't worry. I got
Fuck
this.
The man, bro.
Yeah,
I'm not paying for bags.
And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, this could be so easy, but whatever. So you ever just listen, if you know the car crash is going to take place, you might as well get a good seat, right? So I go, here, I'll take your walker. So I grab her walker and she grabs onto the cart. She walks up to U-Scan and she's moving so slow. Not one, but two employees walk up and start helping her with stuff. So they're helping her with some of the produce.
They're helping her commit the crime.
And these bags are sitting up there, dude. And I see them staring at them. Right. And they're trying to get it like a judgment. Like if we're like, maybe it was like an employee that had that cart and we took it and they were using it for boxes or whatever. Cause and they had the roll there. They're trying to see if we took them. Right.
I don't want to kill the momentum of the story. Can I just side note real fast? Yeah. If I was one of those employees and I saw that and I understood what was happening, I'm not bullshitting. I would have just let you took them,
dude. It was.
I wouldn't even want to deal with that. They're bags.
Believe
they
me,
were cones.
and you know, and I get it, and I understand the principle because they watch when you work.
It
there,
makes them feel important, man.
Like just like the liquor kids. Like a kid would come in every night and steal a bottle of liquor, and they go on liquor runs. And I was on night crew. And we would chase after them. And I think it's not because I gave a shit about a bottle of Jack going out the store. It was like it was nothing. But we had all the expensive stuff locked up. It was just it was the reckoning. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So and anybody who's been in grocery, they have that grind on there because they see it every day. But they see the bags on top and they're helping her check out and stuff like that. And then they both walk away and they're talking to each other. They're having like an in-depth conversation amongst each other, like walking the other way. And
Are they doing this? Are they doing the whisper?
Yeah,
and they're like, and then they're point.
I hear her say, and she's pregnant. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, damn. And I go, you know what? I go, dude.
Here it comes.
I said, put your head in your phone and just chill and just like watch it take place. So as slick as she is, she takes the bags and she takes the grocery bags and sets them on top of the produce bags and she sets them there. And then so we're all ready and they know. And now I got 4 employees standing in a line up front with giving us the shittiest possible looks, right? But I'm like, okay, it's fine. Like, listen, you talk. You're the one who wanted to do this. You're the one who took over the whole mission. You do it, right? She goes, give me my walker. And I said,
she even says that badass. Give me my walker,
she
bitch.
Goes, give me my walker, right? So I'm holding
motherfucker.
That's what I said, dude. I'm holding this walker, right? And I'm going, but if you have the walker, I got to take the cart. And she goes, yeah. Right. So I hand her the walker. Right. And now I got this cart that's not moving. She's not moving it with her mind. So I got to fucking take the thing. Right.
She's like Ray Liotta with the gun.
Yes,
here, hide this.
Dude,
hide this.
Dude, not even like here. Now that I butchered this job, you go deal with the consequences. I'm not even telling you. Right. So I'm like, no, dude. I'm like, so I grabbed the cart. And I'm like, all right, well, shit your pants and dive in. I'm hoping that they're like him and they're not going to bother with it. So I go walking up and I look at the one lady and I go, have a night. And before I could even finish telling her goodbye, the guy that's sitting in the group, because now there's a guy over there, because of course they got a guy just in case things get bad. It's this Hawaiian guy and he goes, you took in our bags.
Oh, dude, and thus it begins.
Dude, and I'm standing there, and I know we have the bags. I put the bags in there originally. I know we have the bags, right?
He's not wrong.
And I go, what? And I start imaginary searching for this item that this gentleman's talking about that apparently I have no idea about. So
how dare you, sir, accuse me of stealing your bags?
Dude, for real.
You get a southern accent when you're nervous.
So now I'm looking for the bags, and he follows it up with, he goes, if you take the bags, we need them for the customers, right? And I'm like, no shit, but you're talking to me like a child, so I'll continue, right? So now I know. So now at this point, I'm like, you know what? Give him the bags. Let's get out of here. Like, it's the mission.
Cut your losses, bro.
Abort.
It's not worth it.
Over.
It's just bags.
It's just not worth it.
I'll give you a $5 bill. You can give me change and have the bags.
Dude, so Ginger sees the look on my face because I'm like, great going. Like, I look like an idiot, you know? So I think she saw that I was like going down in flames, and I'm not one of those people that grab an ankle. I'm not, you know what I mean?
I'll just die with honor.
I'll go. It's fine. It's no big deal. Whatever. Fine.
Cut me loose.
So Ginger steps in and she goes, yeah, I took him.
Like what?
Yeah.
Like you're the asshole for calling me out for stealing.
She goes, yeah, I took him. And so I look over like that's your defense. That's the hill we're going to die on here, right? Like, yeah, you took them. They know, you know what I mean? So she goes, yeah, I took them. And then the guy says that again. And dude, this is when I knew it was just over. And I grabbed her by her arm and I go, come on. And I start pushing her on that stupid thing. He goes, again, he reiterates, he goes, yeah, if you take the bags, we can't have them.
He says it the same way with the same intensity.
That same, Kikumomakumahulakalehe.
Huma huma
Fucking-
nuka
yeah.
pua. Yeah, bitch.
Dude, so he's saying it
Forgetting
like
Sarah
that.
Marshall.
Yeah, dude. So he's saying in this most casual tone. Honestly, and you know what? I got to give it to him because if he would have shouted, I could have felt at least like, fuck you too, man. You know what I mean? And like kind of like went with that. But him being so.
What you do if they start a scene, this is how you win that.
Yeah.
Is you start making it about not what it is. Be like, she's pregnant and you're going to harass her.
Oh,
and the stress
yeah.
could kill her baby, even though she's the one that's the thief. But the people around are not going to know the intricacies of the situation. And they're going to look at him and be like, you're putting all this stress on this pregnant
And they'll
woman?
take a
yeah,
side.
Yeah, you get the people to turn on them, even though they're
Dude,
in the
the
right.
mob always
Dude,
wins.
Yes.
The mob
yes.
will always win.
That's
I
actually a
shoulda
good
did that.
tactic.
Yeah. The mob. Dude, if you got the mob on your side, you're pretty much good to go.
Yeah,
honestly.
look at politics.
Yeah, yeah,
Look at
really.
exactly everything that's happening in the last 15 years.
Dude, so she says that, and then some other lady starts mouthing off, and she goes, "You're pregnant, and you do," and she's like giving her shit. So then I'm like, all right, well now I gotta back her up, but I don't want to because I just want this to end. Not that I don't have her back, I just want it to end. Now it's bags that turned into this enormous deal that I so don't care about. At this point, I would have gave you like however much it would have cost for a roll of bags.
Here's $20.
Yeah, dude, honestly,
I'll
at this point-
overpay for the bags.
Dude, honestly, you know how like that old adage, like, time is money and stuff like that. Honestly, dude, as long as it felt like I was in there getting bitched at for stupid bags, it felt like a fucking eternity. So yes, I would have paid nothing for it. So I go, yeah, okay. And I take the cart, I take our bags out and I take it out like the top part and I just got him in one hand and I roll the cart real hard against the wall.
Ooh.
And the reason I did that is because if you've ever been so stupid and so embarrassed, if you've ever lost as hard as I did that night, you have two ways to go about it. You can act like an adult,
or you can kill yourself.
or you can go
Or-
full on child baby fucking moron. And that's how I went with it. I rolled the cart in there. I started shouting shit as we were walking out, and I put the things in the car, and it was like, I just couldn't believe it went down like that. But man, oh my God, that job was just
You're
butchered
talking
so
shit
bad.
on the way out after you got caught trying to
Well,
steal and
once-
embarrassed
Once she started,
to a Hawaiian guy?
No, not the Hawaiian guy. No, the little old lady.
Oh,
Well,
in that case, fuck her.
He said, you know what? All right, listen. The guy was kind of like how I felt. He was like, why am I dealing with this? And I was in my mind,
Yeah,
I'm
he's
like,
getting paid minimum
yeah.
wage and shit. He doesn't want to do this,
Yeah,
man. For bags.
and in my mind, I'm like, why does he have to deal with this? But then the woman starts talking smack, like real smack.
The old lady?
Yeah, when
You say, like, what age are we talking here? Like 70?
60s, 70s.
Ooh.
Let me paint a picture for you, dude. She's super cop at the U-Scan.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
She, dude, and especially me. And I know it's like, oh, you gave her a good reason. Before this, she always walks up and I see her count my items and counting and like matching it up to
Because
the amounts
that
on the
job is
screen.
all she has left in her life, and that's
Yeah.
her sense of purpose.
Dude, but it's like, I think that they blow it up more. Like it doesn't.
What do you mean blow it up more?
I mean that she could. There's plenty of purpose just working and going to and providing a public service. You don't need to catch. You don't need to catch bad guys for a living.
Dude,
that's not part of your.
Do you understand
job.
that story when she gets to go home and tell whatever her cats or whatever
Yeah.
the fuck she has left?
Yeah.
She caught a perpetrator, man. She's a superhero in that moment in time. There's not a lot of fun she could have.
Dude, I worked with one.
She's probably been at that
Smith's.
store too for like 37
Yeah.
years. She's been employee of the month every month for the last 15 of those years.
You know what's weird, dude? I worked with one the same way at my Smith's, and and they used to say, I don't want to say it out loud but if anybody watches it, but
Fuck it.
It was this lady Maureen, and they used to say that's RoboCop Maureen because she would scan the U scanners and she would catch people all the time. Like she caught an abundance amount of people stealing. She got like, if I'm not mistaken, when I left, she was up to like 3 employees. Like, and here's where I start thinking she's a piece of shit. Employees would walk by with like a soda or a candy bar and they wouldn't pay for it and they go into the break room.
Give them a break.
And she'd notice it. And I'm like, hey man, like these kids are out there in the sweltering fucking heat pushing in carts for, at the time, $5.13 an hour. And you're getting them shit canned.
Dude, nothing's
For a
worse
candy
than like
bar?
a government lackey or someone that polices their own people, a teacher's pet, if you will. All
Yeah.
that shit's disgusting.
That need to take on a separate role,
So,
man.
bottom line is, this is the type of person that you're dealing with, and that story delineates her nature and how she is.
Yeah, no shit, dude.
But-
So that's what it was, and so she did that, and
Which I think is glorious, by the way.
The truth of the matter is, dude, honestly, it's just like none of us went home feeling good about ourselves that night. You know what I mean? Like it was a gumbo of shame amongst everybody involved.
They're all eating dinner, but no one's making eye contact. You're just looking down at your soup, not talking.
Well,
It's just a quiet dinner.
I knew Ginger was embarrassed because she started talking shit on the way home, and then a couple days later, she goes, "Yo, I should have listened to you with the bags." And I said, "Yes,
You should have.
Yes,
You should have. But you know what though? Like, in a twisted, fucked up way, he was being a good brother and supported his sister in this crazy shit that you wanted nothing to do with.
Yes, I didn't. I wanted nothing to do with it. And you know what? Honestly, the way I would have did it, we would have paid for the bags, just not nearly as much as however much they cost, or if you could get them and stuff like that. But there would have been something that went towards them. And when she said no to that, to me, that's where I kind of tapped out, because I'm like, why not?
When's your birthday?
July 15th.
Okay. Don't
You
worry
gonna get
about
me
it.
some back? Oh, thank you, Dad.
When's your sister's birthday?
She's gonna.
I'm gonna order like $1,000 worth of grocery store
Please,
bags. A
yeah.
lifetime supply is what that amounts to. By
I'm
the
sure
way.
there's some type of like main place where everybody gets their stuff from, right?
Oh, I'm sure it's all wholesale. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's distributors, like primary dealers for I used to work for a company called FSA. It was Food Services of America.
Yeah.
And we used to deliver to like Costco and Sam's Club and Albertsons. And it was like a lot of canned goods and different foods and things they sell in the stores. But that was like the main warehouse where they were all ordered from.
My family's always been wild, man. I remember one time when we very first moved to Las Vegas. You don't mind if I go off on another story?
No, please go nuts.
Okay. When we very, very first moved to Las Vegas, we had no money in the bank. We had this empty cupboards. We came from out of state, so we couldn't bring any of the groceries with us because it's just on this horribly long drive. And we moved here in the middle of the summer and stuff, you know. So it was kind of like what we had, we came with, you know. So my dad's like, well, we need food, you know. So he's like, come on. He goes, come on, Bill. So he grabs this black duffel bag, and me and him hit the neighborhood, and we went around door to door saying that we're collecting food for the homeless. He had some spiel, and we were getting a lot, dude. Like, I'm talking about like the what's the beef stews, the Dinny Moores and stuff.
Yes,
we were getting Dinny Moore soups, we were getting corn, everything. And I remember he knocks on this door, and dude, I'm talking about like shorter than Vern Troyer. This little person answers the door. Like, I couldn't believe he like did the thing, and he opened it up. And I remember my heart like bled for this guy. And I'm looking at this little person, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, damn, dude, like this dude's probably got problems of his own, you know? And from behind me, my dad goes, we're collecting.
He didn't give a fuck, bro. He didn't give a fuck. Your dad's a trooper, man. I wish I could have met this guy.
Dude, yeah.
I'm so upset that I never got a chance to meet him.
Dude, I'm telling you, he was an amazing person. It's not like one of these like, my daddy did this. My daddy
could kick your daddy's
My
ass.
daddy was a piece of shit, but he was the best
There's
piece
a
of shit
glorious
you will
version of
ever
that.
meet.
Yes, man.
Yes.
Like a
I'm
Joey
telling you.
Diaz or
Yes.
there's a level of that where it's almost like art.
Like,
it's almost like a form of art.
Basically same year, because the guy who said it was Mike Sansa. So Scream came out the year we came out here.
Scream 1?
Scream 1 came out
shit.
the year that we moved out. It was like 94, 95. And I had a white Jason mask and some sweats, because that's what kids wear for Halloween back then. Sweats and a Jason mask.
Mm-hmm.
And this dude, Mike Sampson, comes over and full on Scream garb, dude. Like, I mean, everything. He had like the things on under his arm. He had the knife and everything. And he came over, and he's like, that's your costume? And he giggled. And I remember I see my dad look over, and we were in the car like 3 minutes later. I'm like, where are we going? And he told me to pick out a costume.
He's
and
like,
I was
no,
like,
fuck that.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, that one. And I chose the same costume this kid had, you know. He got the mask, everything. I was like, and I'm walking to the front, all like fucking like triumphant and stuff. And I feel him shoving all the stuff down my ass and pushing me out of the store.
It's like the world's best bad father of all time. This is amazing, actually.
That's what he was.
And then as you're driving back to the party, you just hear that kid banging on the inside of the trunk.
Yeah.
Your dad stuffs him in the fucking trunk, dude. Oh my God.
His mom's boyfriend. Now, am I going crazy on stories?
No, please.
His mom's boyfriend.
We don't have a lot of show prep today. We're just going to have a good time, and we're playing it loose.
My dad extorted money from his mom's boyfriend's family.
Wait. Extorted, because that's a vague definition.
I'll get to it.
Okay.
He was Mike's mom, they were all into drugs. My dad was into drugs, and meth hit real hard. And when my dad did meth, it wasn't like he had like a weekend hobby. Like my dad went all out. He was like criminal, like
tweaker.
He was like in it, and they were in it too. But they were this couple, and my dad, I guess, beat him up one night, and the guy was really scared, and the guy was really scared of my dad. And then I think he got into him with some money or something, and my dad, he owed him some money. So what my dad did, he called that dude's brother, who was like a friend around there, and he said he kidnapped the guy, and he got all sorts of money from them, and he said he's gonna fucking kill him.
What?
And that's not the first time that happened either. You could ask Trey this too. Same thing happened to Danny, Trey's stepdad. Oh my God. I heard my dad on the phone saying this, like saying, "I'm gonna fucking kill you, Danny," and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Trey only lived like right around the corner. We were best friends. So I go, "What are you doing?" Because I'm thinking like, you're like fucking with my friends' lives. Like, this is my friends. So I go running over to Trey's house, and I went in to tell Danny, like, "Don't sweat that shit. Don't sweat that shit." And he's standing there with a tall can with his head down. And his foot's kind of like up, and I don't really notice what he's doing, but his foot's kind of up, and I realize that he's foot standing on a to-go bag with all his clothes in it.
Oh shit! Are you serious?
Yeah. And Trey's mom hated my dad, and my dad hated Trey's mom. And if anybody won in that argument, or in that fight, because obviously he punked Danny, Trey's mom got my dad locked up for like a year.
Oh, you were telling me about that at work.
Yep.
Shit!
They smoked.
Are you serious?
They smoked together. They knew he had a bunch of shit in his room. That's what they used to call it, the shit. He knew he had a bunch of shit in his room. She left that night, called the cops, and set him up.
Dude.
He hated her, dude. He hated her. God.
It's such a fucked up environment. And this is the weird thing, too, because, like, being in Las Vegas my whole life, whatever, like, we all know a lot of drug addicts and shit like that, like tweakers, heroin addicts, fucking pill addicts. The whole thing. You run the gamut.
Yeah.
All of it. But I've always found it fascinating that all my super drug addict friends, the grimiest ones, they're always at odds with their other drug addict friends and like people that are in their circles, and they're always super petty and judgmental, and they have this warped sense of like what's right and wrong. Yeah. Like, they fucked me and he took this and they did that and he took my drugs this day, and it's like they're fighting. I'm like, you're all garbage. You're all dishonorable pieces of shit. It's like pirates fighting amongst pirates, dude. It's fucking crazy. And they're delusional. Like, the ones that are telling the stories about how that guy's a piece of shit because he went into his room and took his money and bought fucking drugs or sold his shoes or whatever the fuck it was. Like, they're really upset. Like, I can't believe they would do this to me. Yeah. I'm like, dude, you've done the same shit 900 times to other people.
Yeah, there's a reason why somebody feels so inclined to do that to you.
But they still have like this righteous indignation. It's pretty bizarre, man.
You know what
it's very interesting.
Comes down to is that everybody's high out of their gourd, and they have this
I know what it comes down to. They're out for themselves.
Ego and this hyperinflated
Not
rage.
even ego. They're just out for themselves. Because when a drug addict takes from another drug, none of them really have much to begin with.
Yeah, there's not like a moral code between everybody.
Yeah, so it's like if I take your drugs, that's all the drugs you had left. You know what I mean? So you're going to want to hate my guts and then take something from me. It's a very bizarre culture. Very, very strange culture. Interesting as fuck, but strange.
And you know what's so funny is when you moved here, like back then, it's weird how Las Vegas is growing. Like, Las Vegas is super, super diverse now. Like, you black neighborhoods, Mexican neighborhoods, Jewish neighborhoods. It stretches from both sides of both mountains that sets up. When I first got here, honestly, it was like NASCAR people, and that's why dope was so around. And
depends on what area you were in.
Well, Rainbow and Decatur and like Flamingo area.
That shit didn't even exist at that point. Yeah. That was like the outskirts.
Yeah. Well, they had Honda Hills over there. They had the points where I lived, and then that trailer park right there. And it was like, but dude, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm telling you, they're the best fucking people. Were these like NASCAR people? But obviously,
they're colorful. They're a colorful bunch.
It was weird though, because that was so. But I don't see like the hick cowboy types anymore.
We don't have that here.
Is it
that's
there
not,
anymore?
That's the smallest demographic of people
but it
that
used
could exist
to be.
here.
It used to be the very large demographic. That's what I'm saying.
I don't remember that, man. I was born here. I'm 37 years old. That's
You
not.
lived on the east side, right?
Yeah, I was raised in the
you didn't-
ghetto ass trash east side.
But not the trailer parks over there. You don't remember all that
I mean, there
shit?
was white trash or whatever, but that was not the predominant culture at all.
I
Not at all.
remem-
And like the
when
whole
I
hill,
first
there
got
was
here,
no
that's what I
hillbillies. There was
remember.
no fucking cowboys out here. None of that shit. And there still really isn't a lot. Honestly, there's not a lot.
When I first got here, they were all rocking. Like that's the first thing. Like
I think that you were just in that small environment. I think you were just in that environment, and that was just like you ran in those circles, if that makes sense.
Yeah, NASCAR.
Because for me, it was like gangster rap motherfuckers, like drug dealers, hood motherfuckers, saggy pants, blue fucking, Crips, Bloods, 28th Street, a lot of like street metro gangs.
Yeah.
Metropolitan type gangs.
Yeah, I get the gangs that were moving over from California. But
Yeah, a lot of that.
But the surge that sent them over was the
Latin
90s
Kings.
and the issue.
When I was coming up, a lot of Hispanic Latin Kings and shit like that.
Yeah, Latin Kings had the yellow. There was like a lot of New York and shit like that. Yeah, it's a trip, man. But I'm telling you, like that dope business was meth was like so insane, man. You know what I mean?
See, like
I did,
that's
but
another
I
thing
didn't.
Here
get
in
into
Vegas,
that
you're
stuff.
talking about.
Yeah,
that's another thing too. Is like since at least in my time, but also I kind of got in like partying and stuff later. Like I was in like my mid 20s, whatever. Like meth was never a huge thing out here. When I was in Montana, that was the meth capital of the fucking world.
Yeah.
I was telling you, like I used to drive, like I used to be a drywall guy, so I'd be like up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, getting ready for work, start driving in, and there was billboards in Montana that were about like don't do meth. And one of them, it's my all-time favorite, man. It makes me smile every time. I was drinking coffee and I had this fucking Camaro and I'm driving to work, and it's like, I never hit my mom until she got in my way. And then it's like ... meth. I was like, Jesus Christ. Like, what the fuck? Why would you want to be spun out on meth in this hucklebuck shitty nothing to do town?
And then
Makes
why
no
would she
sense.
get in his way? Or it could be exactly why.
But they had like a whole billboard campaign, but that was my favorite billboard always.
You know what's weird though is like as popular as meth was as a teenager, heroin was dead, and now that made a huge comeback. That's
so
everywhere.
Heroin is everywhere, but also depends on where you're at in the country. Like when I was in Long Island, heroin became I think it's still a big problem, but that was a big fucking problem.
But it was
a
the
growing
China
problem.
White, right?
China
Don't you remember the China White was the big deal, especially back in the East Coast? And then all of a sudden, Black Tar comes out, and they were all doing it.
But meth is starting to sweep out back east too, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a lot of heroin, a lot of meth, and also like for some reason when I was in Long Island, like ecstasy was around a lot, which is actually not the most harmful thing, honestly. If you get a bad hit, you die. But overall, like the heroin addicts and the meth addicts, that's a different breed of human being.
No, yeah.
Dude,
there's definitely a level of drugs, and anything below heroin, meth, and
we have the best drug addicts.
Nothing.
In Vegas, we have the best, because this is a party town primarily. So, I mean, you have, obviously, there's different rungs, if you will, of like, the different like shitty versions of them. But the predominant drugs that we have out here are party drugs like Molly, ecstasy, a lot of opiates, things like that, weed, which is like hardly a drug at all, but cocaine, things that are like people social. Thank you.
Yeah.
They do them all the time, but you're not just at home like rolling on ecstasy by yourself and destroying your life with that shit.
Yeah.
Cocaine's hit and miss, but a lot of people just do it when they party. It's a lot of like touch and go type drugs. Like there's not like a huge drug addict culture of just like people just doing meth and just laying in the streets and shit. We have our homeless, sure, but that's just not the biggest thing here. And like Midwest, there's a lot of like a lot of that shitty stuff. Like a lot of the most destructive drugs, the meth and the heroin type stuff, is in the worst parts of the country where just like life is not worth fucking
Portland
living, dude.
and stuff.
Arizona, New Mexico.
Arizona's huge for meth,
Dude,
you know
New
what I mean?
God.
You know what? I think that if you're literally using drugs in just a social atmosphere and you're doing it semi-responsible, I don't think there's any issue whatsoever.
I agree 100%. But
I
also,
think you have to get out of your head in this life. You have to.
For the most part, yeah, unless you're someone that doesn't, but most people do. But also, it's like you don't know which person you are until you try, and that's the danger of it. Like, I found out that I'm able to dabble and be responsible and still maintain a life and work and be respectable and all that stuff, but not everyone can do that, man. You don't, just like, it's almost like becoming a fighter. Like, you don't know what you're capable of until you get in the ring and actually get into a fight. You could believe X, Y, and Z about yourself, but until you're tested, you don't know what your mettle is. And it's the same thing with like drugs people or alcohol people. It really is, man.
And Lord of War, he said he'll never understand the psychology of what separates the
functioning,
the social drug user and the addictive personality one. You know what I mean?
Oh, I could talk about that shit all day.
I mean, is
man.
that damage? Is that
It's
emotional damage?
it's damage
Maybe like
amongst a
mixture of
million other things,
right?
man.
Yeah.
Like we can get into that. That'd be a long, in-depth conversation.
Yeah,
but
we already talked about drugs for like 40 minutes.
I don't think
Holy
that's
shit.
that big of. I don't think that's the hardest thing to break down, quite
Yeah.
honestly. Oh, also, by the way, guys, did you notice that we got the on-air sign working? Thank you, Kimmy. Appreciate that.
You're the bomb, Kim.
We had to change the light out for a softer light, but now it actually works and shows up on camera. So that's an upgrade.
Kimmy's light just shines too bright.
Shines too bright, my friends.
She's such a good kid, man. Oh
Yeah,
my
she
God,
is.
she is.
Also, I'm just pounding Jack and
Top G
Dr.
is
Pepper, by
free.
the way. Oh, Top G, that's right.
Yeah.
Look, we've been calling for Andrew Tate's release since the day he got arrested. It's been a long and arduous journey. A lot of bullshit in that area over there, whatever the fuck's going on. But he's out now. He's on house arrest. He still has the trial to face. But Top G is free. We're glad to see that. Welcome home, Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate. We know the court case is going to go to your favor, man. We're just glad to see you out and getting the treatment that you deserve. So we're happy that this saga has come to an end. And now we don't have to continuously scream his name out every single time that we do an episode. man.
Happy you're out.
We
It's
wanted
a-
to support him the whole way through, and we wanted to put a nice little punctuation mark at the end of it. God bless you, Top G. We're glad you're out, man.
Yeah. Happy you're out.
Good for
it's
you.
a shame you ever went in, but good thing. You and your brother. Good stuff, man.
And speaking of like false imprisonments and whatever, indictments, Donald Trump.
Yeah, jeez Louise.
Donald
what
Trump.
a joke, man. There's so many red flags
You know
in this
what?
case, dude. There's so many, especially that prosecutor, that DA
Who just made his whole career on vowing to get Donald Trump. But I will say this. This is one, I don't think we have to fight too hard or push too hard to make these points. I think most people are on board with that. This is like a fucking, it's just a persecution, man. It's a sham.
circus,
It's a sham.
dude. It's a circus. They want to sway Donald Trump any way they can to either A, make it to where he can't run again, or B, make him too scared to
Which
run
is such
again.
a coward's move. It's like,
course it
dude, why
is.
don't you just defeat him honest? If you guys are so
They
great
can't.
and your ideas are so progressive and everyone's so on board with it, it is so mainstream and we all so agree with you, then just defeat him honestly.
Yeah, your guy
just beat him.
Your guy
What the
got
fuck are you
80
doing?
million votes.
You weak ass cocksuckers, just
Shouldn't
fucking
you
fight him straight.
Wouldn't it be easy again? Your guy got 80 million votes, 110% turnout in Minnesota. I don't know how you could lose. So what are you scared of?
Yeah, what a bum he is, huh?
I'm here, Senator. What are you scared of?
But you know what
Sam
though?
Rothstein.
Like we were talking about Sam Rothstein. I was saying before, I'm actually glad that this happened because they're at a point like whatever that woke side, the crazy side. I don't even want to just say whatever, whoever the fuck has that mentality. They're so far over the edge that they're overreaching and they're attacking the wrong people at the wrong times with the wrong things. And they're making clowns out of themselves. They're actually weakening their own structure of power. People are seeing right through it now. They're overreaching, man. They're overreaching and it's actually bad. So keep attacking guys like Donald Trump and Andrew Tate. Eventually one day if I become up there or whatever, I'm sure they'll come after me too for speaking truths and just saying things that they don't agree with or whatever. But if you keep attacking the wrong people, you actually embolden them and their message and you weaken yourself. So I'm happy to see this indictment, man.
Yeah.
It's such an embarrassment and a mockery and a sham. It only weakens them. It doesn't make them stronger.
It's some banana boat republic.
Dude,
Third world country bullshit that they're
it's
pulling.
so
It's sick.
transparent and obvious and on the surface that it's actually bringing us back together again.
Yeah.
Even Stormy Daniels came out and was like, he doesn't deserve to go to jail for whatever the fuck it is that you're indicting him for. Like the victim herself, who they're supposed to like, stand on her shoulders and make their bones and their case off of. She's like, this is bullshit.
Well, it's the whole point is they're saying that he gave her hush money or something like that, and the problem is that the FBI who don't like Donald
Bill
Trump,
Clinton was getting his dick sucked in office, man.
But the FBI, the same FBI that does not like Donald Trump, okay, does not like him whatsoever, already went into this case and couldn't find any, plausible cause. So why are we back to this? And so it's gonna
Let them
fail.
know. They're just making themselves look terrible, man.
But I'd be really,
Good.
I'd be really shocked if any of this sticks, dude.
Dude, it's not going to stick. Impeachment 1, impeachment 2, Russian collusion, the Mueller report, fucking. It just keeps going on and on and on. And every time, here's the thing: is that every time they've brought these things against him, on the back end, it exposes their corruption.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No matter how much you hate the guy, it just keeps exposing their corruption. And now they've had so many like false attacks and failures that it just looks more and more ridiculous each time they try. They've lost credibility. They've destroyed their own power. It's getting worse and worse for them. And you know what? I'm excited to see this because at some point that power structure, that hierarchy has to get desperate. And when they get desperate, they have to act in an outlandish fashion. So I can't, and it's not that it's not been outlandish already, but I can't wait to see when when a power is dying, when they start thrashing and writhing and trying to survive and attacking, how when you see that true face, the final form of the true evil behind everything, I can't wait to see that shit. And it's coming soon at this point in time, man. It's bad. It's going to be very interesting. So Trump, I'm behind you 100% on this as well, man. I'm sorry what's happening to your family.
Yeah, what a joke. Sorry, dude.
You could talk all the shit you want about that guy, but the truth is he didn't need any of this shit. Before he ran for office, he was a media darling. America loved him. He had a great name. He had a great business. He has a great family. He's rich, comfortable. He had accolades for days, and they slandered and destroyed this guy's image in the public eye. He didn't need to take on any of this shit. His businesses have suffered. His family has suffered. He has suffered. He has been through stress, and that guy keeps rising off the fucking deck. So you can call it ego, you can call it pride, whatever the fuck you want, but you couldn't do that shit, and good luck to you. And he's doing it for a good cause, and I stand behind that fucking guy.
Hey, wouldn't if their administration was like, for the last 2 years, just like kicking ass and taking names and doing amazing things and break this, would they even be worried about this right now?
No.
Or have they noticed that it's a complete and utter abortion of everything that they promised to do?
Abomination.
Yeah,
dude.
you know what I mean? And so now they're sitting there like, okay, well,
why do you think they're
he's
so
still
consumed
bad.
by him?
Yeah.
If he was such a non-issue, they wouldn't see him as such a threat, and they wouldn't throw their whole power behind to destroy this guy. So like my new equation of how I see like who's telling the truth or who's just, if you will, even if no one's perfect, by the way, everyone has their skeletons in their closets. No one's perfect. Trump's not perfect. Andrew Tate's not perfect. John McAfee wasn't perfect, whatever. But when the whole system throws its weight against one individual person and does everything in their power to destroy them, I take note.
Yeah.
Because that's the person who's probably saying things that are hitting close to home. Yeah. They don't try to destroy the ones that can't affect them. You know what I'm saying? Like that there's a reason for that. Yeah. So I pay deep attention to that shit.
You start to question, why do they want to shut him up?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And why is it always this similar archetype of person that has like similar views and says similar things and they have similar demeanors and attitudes? Why is it always them?
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah. Why do they put so much, not only just energy and attention behind it, but they spend money on it. They campaign on it. You know what I'm saying? They try to coerce, they manipulate. All the time that they're spending trying to destroy Trump and destroy Andrew Tate and whoever the fuck else is out there that they're doing it to, that's speaking the truth, that could go into public works. That can go into things that help the people, bringing our country together, projects. You know, all that attention is wasted. It's called malinvestment. Those are all malinvestments. And why do they care so much? They're not working for you. They're not working for you. Oh, by the way, like I'm going to give you a recommendation. Those of you out there that are not on like whatever side, if you don't see things the way that we see them and you want to like oppose that or whatever, I highly recommend watching a documentary by Noam Chomsky, who is a very famous and public intellectual, brilliant man, one of my heroes growing up. And he's actually a liberal more than anything else, and like and a Democrat and things like that. He's on that side, if you will. But there's a documentary called Manufacturing Consent. Go watch that shit. Go watch that shit. You can hear it from one of your own side of people, if you will, and go watch that. Maybe that'll make it a little bit more palatable. And then when you're done with that, watch Requiem for the American Dream. But first watch Manufacturing Consent, because that's more pertinent to these times. And I think that might blow your mind a little bit.
Manufacturing Consent?
Yes, sir.
Sounds like me at a middle school.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Breaks the fourth wall.
Hulk Hogan, baby, just starts. Who broke the fourth wall the best? I say Zach Morris.
What?
Zach Morris.
From Saved by the Bell?
Yeah. When he would snap his fingers and everybody would just stop and he'd start talking to the camera about his concerns and shit like that. That was dope. Super dope.
All right, we could put him up there. You know who else did a great job of doing that? Is Kevin Spacey in House of Cards.
I've never seen House of Cards.
Dude, he would be like especially in the first episode. So
I thought you were going to say American Beauty.
No.
Because you remember he narrated that?
I never saw it, bro. Never saw it. House of Cards is amazing. It's a political show. It's amazing. I highly recommend you watch it. But
okay.
Anyway, so so in House of Cards, Kevin Spacey would often, in the middle of the story, just like you said, just change direction, just address the camera and start explaining how politics works and what they're doing. And like he would like talk to you, the audience.
Oh, I like that.
And I just absolutely love that shit, man. It was so fantastic. He did a great job of it too. Also, if you take note, the whole show is great, don't get me wrong, but I think I don't know if it's the first 2 episodes, but definitely the first episode. The first episode is what got me hooked. And I'm like, man, I love this show. I don't know what it is. It has a certain feel that I'm like hyper attracted to, and I love the way it's shot, and I just love the style of it and the essence of it. Come to find out, it was I believe David Fincher who did Fight Club. David Fincher, right?
Yeah.
David Fincher directed that episode, so it had that dark, like monologue-y style.
Yeah.
And then here's another thing too, an interesting thing. I always wondered why like Fight Club was so enamoring, and same thing with that episode of House of Cards. And someone did a film breakdown of why his film style, his filmography style, sorry if I'm butchering that, is so enticing. It's because it's a little innocuous trick that he uses where, you know, when you stand up out of your chair, you sit down in your chair, you move left or move right.
Yeah.
He moves the camera with the motion.
And just this little thing.
It's hypnotic. So
Really?
like as you're standing, like the camera comes up with you, and as you're standing, it comes down with you. You don't see the person just sit down, the camera stays the same. And for some reason, this hypnotic motion just is like, it's engaging and gripping.
It's like you're there.
It's a nice touch.
Yeah.
And it's not that like that camera shit that we always talk about where it's like zoom in, zoom out, be here, be there, and like trying to keep people's attention with cuts and smash cuts and all that.
Yeah.
It was still a consistent flow of the camera. It never cut angles, but it would just follow you as you move. And I just thought that was fascinating. I watched like
Such
a
an
little
amazing
documentary thing on it.
You know when the first time that I noticed something like a director's style, like where you could definitely say, oh, that's a director's style.
Tarantino?
Spike Lee.
Spike Lee.
In every
Which
Lee
film?
movie, in every Spike Lee movie, he'll have like the protagonist walking or like the villain walking or saying something, and he has them on this what do you call that? Not a plank. What's a big piece of wood called? Like a it's a piece of wood with wheels on it. Whatever you'd call that. I'd
What do
say
you
a
mean?
skateboard, but like a big giant skateboard, right? But like a big plank with wheels on it.
Okay,
right?
fine.
So
Like a cart?
yes.
I guess.
And then he puts the camera on it with them, and he pulls it like this. Look. And he latches something on and he pulls it, and they're walking through and they're talking. So you're not seeing them walk like this. It's almost like they're gliding. Am I painting a picture?
No, I was just
And
gonna
they're
like they're floating. I was just
Exactly.
gonna
And
say
they're
that.
like
Yes.
this, and they're always like this, and they're talking and stuff like that. That's Spike Lee.
Oh, so dude,
Isn't it dope?
that makes a lot of
Right? I
sense.
know,
But
yeah.
interesting fun fact: do you know why there's a lot of scenes in movies and TV where they're walking and talking? Do you know why? Because it gives the illusion that the story is moving forward.
Really?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's subconsciously telling you that we're pushing on.
Correct. Fascinating. I love
Jesus.
shit like that, man. It's so interesting. But you know what? I'm gonna pay attention. What movie was that you saw that?
Well, so do the right. Any Spike Lee joint. Every Spike Lee joint has that in it.
I'm gonna pay attention to that.
Yeah, He Got Game when he was sitting there walking through the neighborhood. You ever seen that with Ray Allen?
What's one of the best Spike Lee? What should I watch as far as Spike Lee goes to get myself introduced?
He
to
Got
him?
Game. Watch He Got Game.
Okay.
It's all about if you were basically it's from the standpoint of like a Michael Jordan, LeBron James, if he's going to go to college or he's going to go to the big leagues, what college he's going to go to. Like he goes to all these different John Turturro's in it.
I love Johnny.
And-
Johnny Turturro, man.
Yeah, John Turturro. He has like a basketball, and he wants him to come to I forgot what college it was, but the kid's name's Jesus Shuttlesworth, and he's the world's greatest basketball player. He's brand new. He's still in high school. His dad's Denzel Washington, and his dad.
I'm already in. Denzel's my dude. I love Denzel.
Dude, his dad was Denzel was like.
Remind me the fun fact
put
you
the-
on Denzel. But
Yeah, he put the ball in his hand, like he gave him all his skills and stuff like that, and he trained him and he raised him and practiced with him to be the world's greatest basketball player. And so when he was, the kid's like really good. Well, they go home one night and they used to have like what the family called basketball fights, and Denzel winds up killing his mom. And
what?
Then, yes,
Like
and-
actual murder?
Yes, so he
with a basketball?
Well, no, he pushed her and her head hit the oven, like completely a mistake.
Oh,
right?
my God.
So he winds up going to prison, and then the kids go and live with their cousins and stuff like that. But now this happens, and the kid grows up, and now he's like on his way, and he has to pick a college. The warden is a big fan of Big State. And
Big State.
Big State. So basically, like if you live in Syracuse, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So he gives him a 3-day pass to get out of prison, and if he could make his son sign with that college, he could get him released.
Oh shit!
So,
okay.
Yeah. So Denzel goes out and he's got 3 days. Dude, it's amazing. I'm telling you, it's amazing. It's amazing.
I'm gonna watch this.
I don't
I'm
want to tell
actually
you that.
fascinated already.
Yeah, I don't
This
want
is-
to tell you them, but dude, watch it, dude. It's so good. And dude, Denzel is just the man.
Can you
in
text me
it.
that?
Yes,
I actually
not
want
even
to
a
put that on
question.
my list.
Yes.
This sounds great,
Dude. So amazing. And it's funny because they have all the basketball players, and you know how like it's really hard to get Michael Jordan to do anything. So they're going through
Except for
everybody.
Space Jam.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm more than happy to do that shit.
Reggie Allen, like he's in it. They're all talking, and then at the end of this little montage showing how good Jesus Shuttlesworth is, Ray Allen who plays him. Michael Jordan looks at the camera, he's like, "He got game." And
Oh,
it's
that's dope,
yeah,
man.
dude. You know what I mean?
That was back. Remember we were talking about like back in the day where you had to use the title of the movie in the movie.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Exactly.
Oh my God, the best.
Who better could they have used than Michael Jordan to say
No,
that,
but especially
you know what I mean?
at that point in time, he was one of the most famous people on earth. Like,
Yeah.
Michael Jordan was the man. But all right, so quick fun fact about Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
His real name is pronounced Denzel. It's Denzel
Oh,
Washington.
so that's not an alias.
No, it's Denzel Washington. The reason why that everyone says Denzel is because apparently that was his father's name as well. So his mom, in order to not confuse the two of them when she would call them, would say Denzel instead of Denzel.
That is nuts.
Yeah, and that's now we say Denzel Washington. So I don't know if that, like, Jenny, one of my the beautiful woman that I'm dating, taught me this, and I believe her because she's not an idiot and
Yeah.
she does her due
Yeah,
diligence
that's
and she watched
cool.
the documentary. But she told me that the other day, and I just thought it was fascinating.
That's insane. You know what I mean? And you know what's weird is that Denzel Washington does kind of sound like an alias. Like, you think Leonardo DiCaprio? No, that's his real name. Harrison Ford, that's not his real name. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Yeah, it's odd. You know,
Denzel.
I'd use my real name if I was like a, you know.
Yeah, you
color
should.
actor,
But you
right?
have your name is snappy though. It's pithy. It makes sense.
Why, if I was like Humphrey Rinneberger or something
You
like
should
that,
change
you
that
change
horse
that.
shit. Fucking terrible
Do
name.
you know what Dutch Schultz's real name was?
Who's Dutch Schultz?
Dutch Schultz, the notorious gangster.
No, don't know who that
The
is.
Flying Dutchman, man.
Nope,
No, he's a gangster.
Your gangster culture history is much better than mine.
Yeah, well, his name was Arthur Flegenheimer. And,
Of course it was.
And Lucky Luciano said, "Do you know why he changed his name?" And he said, "Because nobody's gonna run into a bank and go, put 'em up, boys. It's Arthur Flegenheimer."
That's hilarious.
It's crazy, man.
What a
Crazy.
terrible name.
I know, isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Arthur Flegenheimer.
What else do we got? Billiam?
I have one.
Okay.
I wanted to tell you about this. Talking about good TV and good shows and stuff like that.
And Denzel?
Yeah, dude. Oh, here and talking about another icon. Okay, so I was at the gym the other night, and on the screen at the gym, it either plays horrible music, news, or like ABC, and it's got to be on some shitty like sitcom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this was the third one. This was the option number 3, the shitty sitcom, right? So I'm sitting there watching it, and I keep seeing The Equalizer, and I know that Denzel Washington's doing the new Equalizer movie. I think it's number 3 that's coming out.
Is he
or something
doing
like
it?
that. Yeah, it's already being made.
I didn't know. I love The Equalizer,
like
man.
it's
So
on its
dope.
way. Yeah. So I keep seeing The Equalizer, and I'm like looking for the trailer because I'm like, yeah, man, here we go. Like, you know, so I'm all excited because I love those movies, you know. So I'm watching it, and then no, it just keeps going back to this shitty sitcom, and then I realize that the sitcom is called The Equalizer, and what it consists of, it has a morbidly obese Queen Latifah as a super agent.
You could just say Queen Latifah.
Queen Latifah. Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah. In broader terms, Queen Latifah. And dude, and dude, honestly, she's doing like super agent shit. Like one of the guys was throwing knives against the wall, and like she takes the last one and like like hits the bottle and breaks the top of the glass.
Perfectly.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, honestly, come on, man. Like this is exactly what we talk about when
is enough?
like you already got to suspend enough like disbelief to like believe that a human being could do these things. So you at least get some like crazy in shape person that, like
100%.
doing like, you know, because and I noticed I said person because get a guy or a girl, I don't give a shit.
Dude,
Well,
even when, to your point, even when I watched Denzel Washington being the Equalizer and he's
Yeah.
so dope and badass,
Yeah.
I'm hyper aware of how much like how extra strong they make him for every scene. Like when he grabs a guy and like slams his head into the table, he like launches the dude into the fucking
Yes.
table and knocks him out cold. Dude, we all seen MMA and like real fights. It's not that easy to actually fuck somebody
Yeah.
up that's resisting you.
or when
like,
he runs
even that-
across a building and then jumps down onto a car.
Dude,
that is
as a
so
man, I have
physically
to use-
demanding.
Yes, I have to
Yeah.
use a suspension of disbelief as Denzel is doing
Exactly.
it, let alone if Fat Queen Latifah is doing this
Exactly.
shit.
Dude, honestly, so now I have to believe that her heart isn't the size of a goddamn volleyball. And I have to say that she can just gradually run Like no big deal. Like that extra 200 pounds laying on top of her back, she could just just casually run
Like
across
a
the building
weighted
and
blanket.
jump down. Are you like a lead blanket? Like when you take an X-ray and you have that lead blanket on you. Okay, do me a favor. Next time you're at the hospital and you're doing an X-ray, put that lead blanket on your back and run down the hall. And I want you to ask yourself how easy that was, and then realize that Queen Latifah has to do that every time they start filming. And you're gonna fucking tell me that I have to believe that this is all just like it's in the grasp of reality. It's so stupid, dude. It's like, dude, honestly,
That's shit.
it's a super
That's
agent.
dog shit.
I'm sure the first thing they look for when they find like a super agent is physical prowess. And this bitch has none. And you know what, dude? Honestly, dude, people get mad when we rag on stuff because that's kind of how the internet's kind of like built. They either really like it or really
just
don't
people
like
just
it.
like to talk shit.
Yeah, I guess no matter what you do. But I'm telling you right now, we give credit so much to so many different things. We just went on a long rant about how great these movies were and stuff like that. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm sitting there the whole time and I'm like, and my jaw dropped because I'm like, this is real?
Guess what? Like, that's how you know it's like pure propaganda. It's like nobody wants to see that. People that love Queen Latifah don't want to see that. We don't want to see that. Men don't want to see it. Women don't want to see it. Nobody wants to watch that shit.
Dude, if I walked into the network right now and said, I don't want to see that, they go, it's because you're a racist, stupid.
Of course it is.
You know what I mean?
Also, it's like the reason why you also know that it's propaganda is because they could have just made whatever that version of that show is and called it not the Equalizer.
Anything else.
But they have to tether it to some type of brand name to get people to even give it a fucking chance. Because it can't just be good on its own. But here's the thing, that all these like woke things that they remake them like Ghostbusters and whatever the fuck, like we were talking about, whatever, Velma and whatever the fuck else, they have to use something that was already good in order to like even like sell the idea of it. Yeah, because even they know that nobody's going to watch that shit without the fucking name. And here's the thing that all those great things had in common is that they never existed until someone made them and they were a hit just because they were good. Yeah. Indiana Jones wasn't Indiana Jones until Indiana Jones was made and then marketed and then people watch it and then it became a legend. Yeah. So now they're taking legends and piggybacking off the hard work of the people that brought it into fruition in the first place and then bastardizing it entirely.
And
it's interesting.
We're in the dawn
as a social study, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, we're in a new miserable like dawn of a new era too, because I'm telling you right now, from I'd say the 60s to the 90s, it was all about like new and great ideas and taking
innovation
film,
and creativity,
taking it to new lengths and all this stuff, and
pushing the lines.
Yeah, and I'd say from the kickoff of Godzilla 2000, then we kind of got into the CGI era where they were like doing new stuff with this.
I also understand why we got so heavy into the CGI era, and also it's
cheaper.
It's not that. At some point in the future too, it is going to be dope when we actually iron it out, and you can't tell the difference between that and reality. Because when that first started happening, first started coming out, everyone could see the potential of the technology. So there was like this high of like, dude, we need to work on this and refine this and make this better. And we're in this like weird mid stage where it's like, it's better than it was, but it's worse than just making a robot.
Exactly.
And,
like,
you know what I mean?
Me and him say all the time, Jurassic Park, that Tyrannosaurus Rex was so amazing because there was like 9 people operating this big robot like behind it, of course, and it was real. But when they do get the CGI down and they can do the whole thing the whole time and things run around doing whatever it wants, it's going to be great. But now they're in this weird portion where it's reboots. Yeah. It's literally shitty reboots of beloved childhood or not too long ago ideas. And they're putting their own message and spin on it and they're all bombing.
But what I want you guys to do, like, let's do this together as a mental exercise is this. Take away, is it right? Is it wrong? Is it sexist? Is it racist? Should they be allowed to do it? Should they not be allowed or whatever? Put yourself in the shoes of the people that actually create these things and make these movies and these films. Why do you think that they're motivated to make that stuff? Do they think it's because that they think they're going to make something that is appetizing for us to watch and then our interest is going to garner them a lot of money? Because that's how it used to be. They used to make things that people want to see so they can make money. And also there was people that were just artists out there that just want to put their art out there and as purists. Like, why do you think that they're making in this formulaic way, these things that are just bombing that nobody wants to see? And that's where I just take all the moral quandaries off the table and I just look at that as them, as the guy sitting behind the desk at Disney or at whatever, Universal Studios, the one that commissions the project, the guy that comes in as the director and says, hey, I want to make this movie, and he goes, pitch it to me, and it has to have X, Y, and Z check marks on it. Do they think it's because it's going to be good and that it makes money, or is it something else? And forget how you feel about whether or not they should make it or shouldn't make it. Is it right? Is it wrong? Just boil it down to its base point, put yourself in their shoes, and ask yourself, if you were them, what would your motive be? Are they fighting some kind of altruistic fight that no one that's ever been rich and powerful has ever fought before in the history of fucking time? Or is it something else?
I have an answer. I mean, how I feel about it. I think that they're sitting in this echo chamber thinking that everybody they know in LA is everybody sprawled out across America like that. Like that's the
this is
voice.
the type
That's
of thing
what
I
they
like.
want,
It's like,
you know?
I hear you and I could entertain that idea. I don't necessarily agree, but I'm not necessarily right or wrong. So this is the type of thing I like. That makes sense to me.
I just feel like,
is it because all of these structures, if you will, whether it be movies or directors or whatever, Disney, whatever structures they are, it doesn't matter, Amazon, Apple, it doesn't fucking matter what the structure is. Do they all, if one of them falls out of the line, do the rest destroy that one? So is it like a self-preservation? We have to toe the line and move together as one unit. Otherwise we get persecuted and we get destroyed. Or is it because they think that this is actually just fucking good content? Or are those the only two options? I want.
No.
I'm raising these questions because I want
guess-
you guys to think about it too. I don't know. I'm literally just thinking at this point in time,
let me open up a new door.
and I'm a little bit drunk, so forgive me if my logic isn't perfectly sound.
No, here, and I'm out of my mind, so it sounds totally sound to me. I got another door. I got another
Like
door.
being honest, like forget the
More
hate, forget
sinister.
the spite and the venom.
More sinister.
Go ahead.
What if they're literally what they've been talking about, like Nietzsche and the fall of Western men and stuff like that, and getting rid of masculinity and stuff like that. What if they're actually making us weaker through these movies and stuff? Because if they just put out enough and it affects kids enough.
But if you're Disney, all right, so like we're saying this is like he's making an umbrella statement.
Yeah.
But now let's break it down to its individual parts. If you're Disney, whatever, you're fucking Walt Disney himself in this time. I don't know who the fuck's running it right now. I haven't looked into it. But
See Heigl.
But why would you make that decision? Why would you want to break down the youth? Why would you, as a profit motivated company, as an independent entrepreneurial structure, why would you want to aid in that cause? There's always some kind of self benefit, right? The smoking gun is always, what do we get out of it, right?
It's not financial.
No one does. It has to be financial in a roundabout way. It can't be.
It's failing every step of the way, right?
That just because that's true doesn't mean that they don't think
that they're doing
something. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
So there has to be a certain amount of self-interest involved in those decisions. So if you're that guy, you're new Walt Disney, whatever, and like whatever, you want to destroy the youth and destroy masculinity and all that stuff. You as him who owns Disney, who your whole existence has been to make a profit and create these contents and create these trademarks or whatever, and build your corporation and your empire. Why would you be invested emotionally in doing that? And I'm genuinely asking.
No, that's a question. I got you. It's a question for him.
Try to pretend. Like try to actually come up with something.
Well, you know what?
You're that guy. You're sitting up there. Like what?
When the world
you have
made
to think it's
sense,
going to benefit you.
When the world made sense, it was to get people on board to like this stuff, to spend money, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, is it still as simple as that? Is it still, well, now that everybody has identity politics, and maybe there is a lot more transgender kids, maybe there is something like that. So let's make sure that everybody's included in this and we can make money like that. But no, because then I would notice after the first year, after the first fiscal year, that everything's just dropping. And,
I have
I'm
an
going,
idea.
Yeah.
Go, finish your thing. Sorry.
That it's just that this is a potential problem, that if we continue on this path.
So outside of like a private company where you could just like suck my dick, this is what we do. So say I'm the new Walt Disney, right? And I get paid $2 million a year to head up the company and to run the operations and do what we do. And now I'm responsible for making decisions of what we create. And now I'm running you a scenario. This is a hypothetical. Mm-hmm. And now I'm sitting there behind my desk, whatever, and this new social climate takes precedence. And I start seeing anyone who falls out of line or like goes against the new, like whatever social pressures that are happening, gets canceled, gets fired, gets persecuted, gets everything taken away from them and gets destroyed. So now me as the Walt Disney, where my salary is $2 million a year, and that's what I'm used to making. And in the past, the appetite was for good content and groundbreaking content and entertaining content and get ticket sales and things like that. Now I understand that if I pursue that path of revenue, which is the best thing for the company as a whole, but I will get ostracized and I will get fired and I will get my salary taken away and persecuted, I'm going to no longer care about the benefit of the entire company or the quality of the content as a whole. And I'm going to do what I have to do to preserve my job. And that's where the self-interest comes into play. I think that that's more reasonable and more logical and more likely than anything else.
So they're not dumb. They're just being strong-armed.
Yes. And they're also selfish, and they don't care about like whatever, like
but
what's good for humanity or what's good for society. These are just like the same. Because like not if I was one of them. If I was a sociopath and I was one of them. Because like, here's the thing.
I'd have a big rainbow sticker on my trunk as I'm driving out of there.
Yeah, we all know this.
Making money.
Most businesses, businessmen, Wall Street guys, doesn't matter what it is, corporate entities in general, they don't give a fuck about the greater good. They don't care about the social fabric. They care about making money and self-interest and nothing else. And we've all known this, like Occupy Wall Street, corporate greed, yada, yada, yada. We all agree with this, right? And for the most part, we're all on board with that in general. So under that mentality, if I was that guy, that would be the decision I would make for those reasons. And by the way, if you guys have any ideas on this, like throw them in the comments or whatever, because I've been like really thinking about this and I'm interested in it. I think that we're guilty of this. I think that we as a society at this point in juncture in our evolution, if you will, we're guilty of not practicing nuanced thinking. And people are lazy and they just want to like add a blanket theory to everything, whatever. Like if someone does something bad or whatever, you're like, oh, that guy's a dick. But you don't take the time to really get to know his psychology and what really motivates him and what the truth is of his decision-making process. And I think that we do this with everything now. So it's like we just go, oh, they're evil. Oh, they're trying to destroy us. But I want to get back to more nuanced thinking and breaking things down and really looking at the individual parts to truly understand what it is that's actually happening. Because you can't change or deal with reality if you don't know or understand or accept reality.
Sure. But man, wouldn't it be nice if like there was some brave one who did have power and stock in these companies?
Wouldn't it be nice? It would be nice
against this tyranny.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It would be very nice,
and maybe others would follow. I mean, isn't that what makes amazing? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm just saying,
I think that person will come into existence out of necessity. Every imbalance creates a counterpoint. If that makes any sense.
And I guess what kind of bothers me, dude, is that. The reason why I think that Disney with the messages, whether or not they're being forced to.
But don't say Disney. Disney is the corporate structure.
Gotcha.
The people, there's someone there's like 10 people at the top making decisions.
No, but
they are Disney.
Totally
you see what I'm
gotcha,
saying?
Gotcha.
Like, okay.
Well, those people, right?
So give them identities in your mind.
Absolutely. But but I'm talking about the man himself. I'm talking about a guy, Walt Disney.
Okay.
I'm talking about a guy,
our Walt Disney in this analogy.
Who didn't have 2 pennies to fucking
rub actual
together.
Walt Disney.
Actual Walt Disney.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Didn't have 2 pennies rubbed together, makes this company, and then years and years later, these 10 people that are on the board are doing all these horrible things. And I get it. You said the social climate and they kind of have to play along, you know what I mean? And I'm just saying,
because their ass is held to the fire.
Exactly. And I just wish that, like, I don't know, like there would just be some balls in that room and they go, you know what? This isn't what his vision was. Well, financial, I mean, doesn't money talk? I mean, even if they're getting canceled.
Yeah, but your money talks to you, like your salary, right? Yeah. Are you, and also like if you get martyred, if you're like the Disney guy on the board of directors, they're going to cut your head off. They're going to take your money. They're going to shame you. They're going to destroy you. They're going to replace you with someone who will play ball and everything's going to remain the same.
But if I make the company, if we have the greatest year since all this woke shit started, right? Let's say I get away with it
that
for a
takes
year.
a courage and a pioneer and some. You're right. You're talking about.
And I'm sitting there like, listen, we didn't make a woke movie this year. We made everybody.
That's going to happen at some point. Yeah. That's inevitable. That's going to happen. But you're
instead
talking
of race
about
swapping, we made new black princesses.
Yeah.
And
good content for all. Original good content for all.
Yes.
So I see where you're coming. That's what needs to happen. What I'm trying to assess is what is happening.
Yeah.
That is what needs, and that is what's going to happen at some point. But I'm just trying to look and understand and think, and not just blanket everything and just like just dismiss it as, oh, it's just fucking this, it's just fucking that. Things are way more complex than that. Nuanced thinking needs to come back. We need to use critical thinking again. It's not so simple. But what you're saying, that's the solution. What you're saying is that person needs to come into existence and do exactly what you're saying.
That's what I'm getting.
You're right.
I get it. I get it's not simple, but this is where you listen. You had that salary. There's, if you got FU money from this amazing salary, and I know it's hard, stuff like that, but I mean,
and you've been there for 20 years.
Look in the mirror and ask yourself, if you want to continue sabotaging your business in the name of not getting fucked with, or if you want to stand up and actually do something.
Well, now, so this raises a separate question, which is, I like this. This conversation is really great for me.
If I'm good enough to do it, no,
not if you're good enough to do it. Not if you're good enough to do it. What type of personality, what type of person are you describing?
A leader.
All right. No, not just a leader. Like you're describing someone who has like some kind of like altruism and heart.
Yeah.
And like puts others above themselves and has some kind of moral code and ethics and like thinks beyond themselves. what kind of person generally makes it to the top in business and in society? Sociopaths.
Some cutthroat shark
Sociopaths.
that's willing to fucking
know this, like-
kill their own mother to get where they need to go to. Yeah.
I actually, like 10 years ago, I think it was, something I read this. I fucking wish I said, there was an article that I read, and it was talking about the percentage of people that are in leadership and high power positions that are sociopaths, and it was remarkably high. It was disproportionate to those who are not.
They said that there's a lot of psychological issues
Psychopaths
for people
and sociopaths
that, like politicians, they need to be crazy to get to that level, because the things that you need to do to get to the top, especially the presidency and shit like that, you know what I mean?
So now, if that's been true throughout the dawn of time, if you will, and those are the people who have ascended to these positions of power, who do occupy these seats, then the social climate does what it does now. What do you think that personality type does? It does this, right? So that's something to think. By the way, I don't have some full, I'm working this out right in front of you on live.
I got you.
I'm literally working through this process as you're watching me think about it. Like
all we got is an idea that might make
but that makes
better,
sense though, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
so we could sit down and say, this is what needs to happen. This is what people should or shouldn't do. I'm trying to assess reality as it is and understand the working parts that are actually happening in real time. So then if I can understand that deeply enough, if we can understand that deeply enough, then we can actually see what direction we need to go in to make change, instead of just pointing fingers and assigning blame and yelling back and forth, which right, wrong, or indifferent does nothing. You have to understand the true situation. We have to be in agreement of that. So then the question becomes, how do you incentivize? Because all right, so we can't get these sociopaths. I'm getting on some. We can't get these sociopaths and these psychopaths out of these positions of power that they've already attained and achieved. Right? They're there. They have their hands in the mix, if you will. So now the question becomes, how do we incentivize those sociopaths and psychopaths to actually do what we need them to do, which is right, even if they're not doing it for the right reason, it's still the right outcome. How do you incentivize that behavior? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it doesn't. It would have to organically change over time, and people getting fed up with the bullshit.
Yes.
And then eventually it'll switch.
Yes.
And then they're going to go,
they're going to give us what we want. If
we
the
wanted
dominant,
to do this all along.
Dude,
Yes. But they go right back the next day if it changed.
But it doesn't matter. So what dude, this is an important thing that you just said. What we're learning is that if we as a collective whole, if the majority of us, the dominant psychology of the people in the lower classes thinks and feels X way and rewards this behavior, it will be delivered, whether it be by a sociopath or by a benevolent person because of self-interest or a different interest. It will be delivered. So all we really need to do is we need to agree on a base level, on a mass scale, if you will. Most of us need to agree that these are things that we want. And this is how you don't vote just by arguing with philosophies and like lashing out and fighting and yelling and screaming. You vote with the wallet. Stop yelling and screaming. Stop trying to empower, because attention is power. Here's the thing that we don't understand. This is something that we need to understand, is that attention is monetizable in this current economic climate, if you will. So if someone is being divisive and is being evil, and all the people like us, if we're the dominant hierarchy in psychology of the masses, right? Like I was just talking about in general, if we give that attention and we pay attention and we try to fight against it and we're like, no, fuck that, and we start talking about it and we give life to it by feeding it attention, that's attention that advertisers buy. So those advertising dollars, like we don't care if they love or hate whatever you're saying. We just care that people are watching and they're subconsciously downloading our products, and then money talks, and then it fortifies us. It becomes a self-sustaining loop. So all we have to do is just vote with our wallets, not with our opinions. Don't give it any attention. Don't pay for the fucking tickets. Don't buy the DVDs, and don't say a fucking word about it. And eventually what's going to happen is that's going to incentivize the sociopaths to create the things that the greater percentage of people actually want to see and hear without firing a shot. Without firing a shot. I think that this is actually the right way to go.
They take their emotions out of it.
And this is just a theory, by the way. Like, tell me if you think I'm wrong about this, but I think that this could work.
No, I think you're dead on.
This makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, it's the same reason Budweiser, who knows exactly who their clientele is, just put a fat ass rainbow and a tranny on.
So talk to me about that. What do you think that they're doing that for? I think it's
the same thing, dude. I think that
actually it is the same thing for sure.
Sure. You know, I mean, the same reason why you never thought that, you know, why did HBO has been established forever. Why did HBO need to jump on board?
But let me get a little bit deeper on this. Like, I don't think that these people necessarily that are like running these companies, I don't think they're necessarily stupid. So, all right, so you have, I'm the Budweiser guy now. Whatever, you got the board of directors, like the 10 people that make the decisions, blah, blah. But I'm just going to pretend that it's just one, I'm going to pretend it's me, one guy, right? And we're all like, I'm the one that's talking. we're sitting around talking about it at the fucking table, if you will. And it's like, hey, you know, like profits are this high, revenue is this high, blah, blah, blah. How do we get more? I don't think that anyone sitting at that table or the guy that makes the decision, which would be me in this case, goes, hey, if we put a transvestite on our cans and we promote, like, you know, well, he's called, I think that our revenue is going to go through the roof. I don't believe that happened. What I do believe happened is I think that these people at the highest levels of power, they all do business together and they all talk to each other. And I think that that guy was offered some kind of deal, some kind of package to do this, even at the expense of the company's profit. And I think it served that person's best interest or those people's best, that small group of people's best interest. And that's why they're actually doing it. I don't think that it has anything to do with it being a savvy business move at all.
Well, what about this?
And that's just a thought, but that makes sense. That would explain all the behavior.
All right,
they couldn't have believed that it was going to result in higher revenue.
Yeah.
There's no way they could have believed that. It's not possible.
What about this though? Kind of like a trade out, right? Because you got the people that were going to go fucking berserk and never buy them again.
Yeah.
You're also going to get the people on the left that are going to start buying it to support the company.
No, they
now.
won't though. They're all talk, man. Those people, they talk and they rally, but only when it interests themselves. They only riot in the streets when they can steal a pair of shoes.
Yeah.
They don't actually do anything altruistic. Just like the same way that, like, women's rights, Bill Burr has that great bit where he's like, you don't support your own sports. You don't watch your own soccer or basketball. And why you
it wasn't us that needed to be there when our face when he said that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think that that's the case, man. And I think that like,
but I mean,
who do you think that their base clientele is? Bud Light.
But there's a lot of the blue collar Democrats that are still Democrats that whether they're on board with the bullshit or not.
And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just considering all sides.
Yeah.
And we will know, by the way. We're going to get our answer because the hindsight's always 2020. We're going to see.
Eventually it's going to say it.
When not this quarterly report comes out, because they're going to fudge those numbers and use like historical data to like paint a picture that isn't true. When the next 2 quarterly reports comes out, we're going to know the fucking truth if they stay with this campaign. So pay attention to that, by the way. Get Yahoo Finance, watch that shit.
Hit, or is it just
dude? Their stock took a fucking face punch like the day after they did that shit. But that's just the stock price. So we'll know when the numbers come out, and not these numbers.
Yeah, people still are buying.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then also what'll happen is like they'll switch gears if they're not incentivized to continue to do so, if you will. So just a few things to consider, man. I don't know. Like I'm sorry if I'm like being. If I'm rambling or going like off the rails,
whatever.
but I think about this shit. Dude.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I'm curious if one of these juggernauts, Budweiser is the juggernaut, the king of all beers. You know?
Yes,
what I mean?
but who is all right? So who's not Budweiser? Bud Light.
Yeah, but Budweiser, it's still Anaheim.
I know. It's called line extension,
yeah.
like they have. But I'm saying like we're talking about the brand of Bud Light. Who drinks Bud Light the most? I think that. All right, so let's go with. I was gonna say let's go with your profit motive idea. Mm-hmm. So there is a possibility that if I'm at the top, I go, okay, Bud Light is mostly like college kids and high school kids playing beer pong.
They will buy it.
They're progressive. They're gonna support this. So maybe we'll take a shot at this because that is our primary demographic. So maybe that was their thinking, but I'm not necessarily sure. I'm not sure. I don't know. That could be true, and so could the last thing that I said be true as well. But the numbers will tell the truth. And what they do after those numbers come out, not just once, but more times in a row, then we'll know the fucking truth. Then we're going to know exactly what it is.
Every underage drinking event that ever took place, there was always
beer
a case
pong,
of
buddy.
Bud Light. Yeah,
like, you don't get too hammered. You could drink a shit ton of it. I understand.
Actually, that shit's strong, man.
Fuck no. It's the weakest beer on the planet Earth.
Have you ever played beer pong and got really fucked up, though, because you're just smashing? Like, maybe you're just getting your ass kicked at it and you're losing so quick?
That has happened, but also there was a couple of times. Huge mistake, by the way. Don't do it. I'm sure that you're all going to do it, you young kids. Don't do it. We played beer pong with shots of whiskey.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, I'm not a great shot. I don't make a lot of shots.
No, because the champions of it is always 2 fucking hot girls that come up and just blow everybody out of the water. Why is that?
Do you know who wins at beer pong more than anyone else?
Who?
Tall people.
Oh, because they lean over the table and
because
just dunk
I'm
that shit?
convinced it's because I'm short as fuck. Like when I shoot, I have to like arc it. And by the way, I'm not a good shot anyways. But every tall person that I've ever met, they're so high above the cups, they're just firing down into the cup.
Yeah.
Like it's just like a bop, like right there. Even if they're not leaning over, they're firing at a different angle. I have to like arc it and get it to lob in. They're just like boop.
Yeah, and their names are always like Wayne or something.
Jim. Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting shit, man.
Yeah, no, dude, that was a good discussion, honestly.
A little impromptu social study.
Yeah.
So
and we'll get the answers.
We're gonna get the.
It's just time.
I think that things are changing and the pendulum is swinging for sure.
I hope so, man. We had this discussion long before we even started the show, as if the pendulum does swing the other way. And we're pretty much due for that fucker to start coming down, right? I mean, we are so far left right now. It's like insane. No?
There's no doubt. Also, I think that you could even feel like in the social climate that the appetite has changed. Like we're not caring as much about all this shit as we used to. We're not fucking. It's just not as inflammatory as it was. Like that's the thing about emotions and like the human condition in general is that human beings are designed to adapt. So you can't feel as strongly about a thing consistently forever. Eventually it becomes normalized to you. You adapt to it and the feeling is blunted by repetition of said feeling. Like, if you have a kid, like whatever, you have a little kid and you're an abusive parent for the sake of argument and you get in that kid's face and you scream at that little kid. The first 100 times you do that, that kid's going to have the fear of God, piss his pants, be terrified, shit himself. There's going to come a day where it's not going to register anymore because that kid's going to adapt to that tone of voice and that way of dealing with things and that feeling that they have. And it gets lessened and lessened and lessened.
Those are the ones that act out
and then eventually,
eventually
they start working out and they beat the shit out of you when they get strong and older. I'm just saying it's the same, but that's the same on a collective level too. Like everything gets blunted by repetition.
You know what though, man? I'm telling you this right now. Growing up, I remember, and you tell me if you had a similar experience. Growing up, I remember more boys having issues with their mothers than ever their dads. I remember a million different guys going, "My mom's a fucking bitch, dude." You know what I mean?
Not true in my world.
I don't know, man.
I'm not saying personally in my family. I don't remember that being a pattern.
I just always remember the moms would always, some dudes like, "Nah, she's a fucking bitch." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it was guys that just hated their moms. And these are the ones that always had the most issues. You know what I mean?
That's interesting, actually.
Yeah. Isn't that weird? And I think, and I've always seen this. Did you know that it's just, especially like single moms and stuff like that, I think that they think being a man is just like smacking the shit out of the kid. When they don't understand it, that if your father smacks the shit out of you, he's quick to give you a hug in the same time and let you know
you have to mend it.
Yes,
you have to break it and mend it.
Yes, it's a really.
Otherwise, you generate hostility and hatred towards yourself.
It's this scale that fathers have to do for their kids. That, you know what I mean?
Good fathers.
Yeah, but the moms, I think being tough is what they think that it's all about. It's just not, dude. So then they wonder. Awful.
I would love to see like a panel of women and be like, "What do you think it is to be a father?" And just pick their brains and hear what that is.
Ask lesbian adopters.
But
they're the number one in abuse.
100%.
They're the number one in physical abuse. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Because two women, a gay couple, two gay guys, practically nothing. Lesbians, there's always physical abuse of the highest level. And I'm not saying, but I'm saying it's a high percentage. I don't have all the numbers right now, but statistically, that's where the most abuse comes from in an adopted family. It's from the lesbian couples. So
Interesting.
So that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's you got this daddy bull night cunt, you know what I mean?
Plaid wearing,
exactly,
spiky collar.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And they think kicking ass is what it takes to be a man. I'm a man. I'm gonna kick some ass, and it's just not, dude. I'm telling you, my dad had to check me plenty of times, but it was always followed up by a lesson or a hug. Like when he'd really fuck with me, really get me, a bad way, piss me off or humiliate me, something like that. He'd give me a hug and he'd say, "You know why I did this." You know what I mean?
See, I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
That's how you don't break someone's spirit and fuck up their psyche.
Yeah.
Because you can't, if you just punish and you never what's the word?
Nurture.
When you don't counter nurture, if you will, then that person just has a complex. They think they're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And then they're going to repress that and become hostile and angry and then lash out and then have a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah.
And see, that's
telling you, if you want that old nature or nurture,
but you need both. You need both. That's the
interesting
thing. There is something we all know that life is about balance, whatever. I don't think that people profoundly understand that concept quite enough. All of it is necessary. Everything is necessary in its proper dosages and at its right times.
The good and the bad.
All of it is. It's 100%. So
it shapes you. It molds you. And sometimes that hurt and that frustration and the fact that everything just went wrong today kind of makes you feel human, doesn't it? You know what I mean?
100%.
And it's just one of those things that it takes. It's just, Look, I know we're getting deep now, but it's just one of those things. Yeah.
Hey, it is what it is,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
This is what we like to talk about. So,
When we're all fucked up.
dude, I'm a little drunk, but I'm having a great time. I enjoy this type of thinking, man.
Dude, I'm telling you.
This is
man.
the stuff I like to talk about more than anything else, quite honestly. Like, we always have a good time on this show, but I could talk about this for 10 hours in a row, man.
Honestly, I want to talk about the industry and living in Las Vegas and country music.
You dickhead. There's a reason for that statement. But yeah, so what do you think? You want to wrap it up or do you want to keep on riffing?
We don't have a video today just because
We just don't have one. Like,
Yeah.
We just don't have a video. We don't need to do anything. Like,
hey, come on, huh?
but so all right. So what's today? Thursday?
Yeah.
All right. So we got this episode out. We're gonna double back and do one. You want to do one Saturday or Friday?
Yeah.
You want to do one? Let's do one Saturday.
Let's do it on Saturday.
Okay. So we'll come back and do another one on Saturday and pay a visit to you guys. We just want you to know that we do have plans to continue pushing forward. We're not going anywhere. Sorry we took that break for so long. Shit happens. We had things to do.
We would have been back sooner. We just ran into there was
tech issues.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And one day that will not be an issue anymore, and I can't wait for
but
it.
we are here to stay, man. And like, you know, outside of everything else, like we love doing this and we fucking love you guys and we appreciate you watching it all. You know what I mean? And like, if no one ever watched the show, we would still make it anyway.
Yeah. But it's cool to see numbers up there, dude. That's
it's fucking nice, man. It's fantastic. But you know, we're going our own way with this. But so that's episode what, 23?
That's episode 23.
Episode 23 of the Irish Spaghetti Podcast. Thank you for letting the Top G out. We appreciate that shit. God bless you, Donald Trump. Good luck out there. Always remember, have your conversations, not their conversations. Talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your community. Let's be human beings again. God bless, and we'll see you in a couple of days. Peace.